Following numerous challenges currently facing Nigeria, the National Orientation Agency with stakeholders are jointly reviewing and validating 5-year Strategic Work Plan 2021 to 2026 of the agencies to address issues. Addressing the stakeholders in Abuja, Director General of National Orientation Agency, Garuba Ababi, said most policies and programs of the government in the past have choked up by the impact of corruption. He enumerated other challenges and calls on stakeholders to provide solutions.
The government of Nigeria has continued to strive to put in place sound policies and programs in order to enable the country attain the much needed development objectives. These policies largely have been a direct reflection of available human and material resources, cultural realities, political persuasions, and also policies and the programs that are deeply rooted in deep democratic norms of accountability, transparency, and fiscal discipline. This is because most policies and the programs in the past have been choked by the impact of corruption. We definitely are not out of the woods as far as these challenges are concerned. We have the challenge of deepening our democracy. We have the challenge of expanding the frontiers of our democratic ethos and practices and principles. We have the challenge of democratic inclusion. We have the challenge of inclusion of all vulnerable groups. We have the challenge of inclusion of women. That section of our demography that must not be ignored even purely from demographic perspectives and demographic relevance, with over 50% of this population comprising of them. We have the challenge of inclusion of people living with disability, and so on and so forth. We have the challenge of critical players not playing according to the rules. Political parties not being internally democratic, political parties not being internally democratic, elected officials actually not living up to their calling and playing according to the rules. All this collectively put together have put a very huge trust deficit between citizens and the government. The entrenchment of development is essential and inevitable even in the face of implementation challenges. Our rural development policies, which the present administration has tried to tackle via direct funding of local governments and the more effective monitoring of how local government funds are expanded. It must, however, be noted that no matter how well-intended government policies, programs, and activities are, unless there is clear understanding of how to appropriate and benefit from these policies, programs, and activities by the target public, such policies and programs would not be seen to be meeting the development needs of the public, and as such, they may become ineffective and they are more often than not important. It is against this backdrop that we decided to invite all of you to have a look at what the National Orientation Agency intends to do in order to respond to these challenges that I have outlined. The challenge of inclusion, fight against corruption, deepening our democracy, inculcating the requisite democratic culture, inclusion of the citizens in programs and activities of government that affect their lives, accountability, both in public and in the private sectors, and so on and so forth. Many of you are stakeholders. You must have perhaps read through the policy document. Those of you that might not have had time to read, we have hard copies that you can peruse as engagement now goes on. And those that still need to go through it beyond this particular session, the policy document is on our website. And it has been there for the first 6 weeks or thereabout. I would want to therefore welcome each and every one of us, and let us please have a no-hold-barred engagement so that from your inputs, we will come out with a policy document that is substantially firm, properly focused, and can be easily be implemented, and will continue to be work in progress as we go further. It is therefore at this juncture that I once again welcome all of us and welcome our facilitator and the driver of the process, Professor Jibril Ibrahim, to take us through the rest of the session. Have a very good morning and a fruitful deliberation. Thanks a lot. To be meeting the development needs of the public. And as such, they may become ineffective and they are more often than not important. It is against this backdrop that we decided to invite all of you to have a look at what the National Orientation Agency intends to do in order to respond to these challenges that I have outlined. The challenge of inclusion, fight against corruption, deepening our democracy, inculcating the requisite democratic culture, inclusion of the citizens in programs and activities of government that affect their lives, accountability, both in public and in the private sectors, and so on and so forth.
On behalf of His Excellency the Vice President, let me convey my congratulations to you, Director General, and the National Orientation Agency on the completion of the 5-year strategic plan and its presentation to the public today. We are in a time in our history in which the NOA, by virtue of its statutory mandate, must come to the fore. There is a struggle for the heart and soul of this country, and a struggle to shape the destiny of our society. As has already been observed, we are facing different challenges. The challenges of expanding the circles of inclusion, challenges of deepening democracy, challenges of forging and fostering social cohesion, challenges of expanding opportunity for a young population. These challenges all border around issues of state legitimacy and the renewal of the social contract. But above all, the mission of the NOA is unique because it is the one agency that is charged specifically with winning the hearts and minds of Nigerians. The premise of democracy is disagreement. And when there is disagreement with official policy or official direction, we take that as part and parcel of the democratic process. That is the nature of democratic engagement. However, when there is a groundswell of a loss of faith in the national enterprise itself, that is an entirely different sort of problem. And it is one that the NOA is uniquely equipped to solve. And so the challenge today is to rekindle the faith of our young people, especially in this country, as a going enterprise. Nigeria is a young country in different ways. First of all, at just 61, it is a young country, just by virtue of its age. Secondly, it is a young democracy. This is the 22nd year of our democracy. It is the longest stretch of democracy that we've ever had. And so we have not more than perhaps 1 or 2 generations that are acquainted with democratic ethics, democratic ethos, the ethics of playing politics by the rules. Thirdly, it is a young country demographically. If you took all of the population under 35, you would still have the most populous country in Africa. And so these 3 dimensions of our youthfulness pose peculiar challenges for us. These challenges are not exceptional. Other countries have faced them, and we are capable of facing them and beating them. The NOA, therefore, occupies a very special role, a very strategic role in addressing the issues surrounding perception, in addressing issues of building social cohesion, of building loyalty, the idea of loyalty and affection. I see here a sign that says reasons to fall in love with Nigeria. And I think the NOA is in a prime position to advance those reasons, and more importantly, to preserve the hearts and minds of our population from existential hopelessness. I want to say that on behalf of the Vice President, we stand ready to support you in every way required in your advancement of that role.
National Orientation Agency is really a potent agency in the drive of government's policies and activities towards reorienting the society into positive thinking and positive action. We are all aware of the present issues in the society: hate speech, lies, blatant lies, falsehood, and the degeneration of the society, because to me, there has not been serious push to reorient the society into positive thinking. People come about with different ideas, different things, and the potency of the counter narrative is not too forward. I could remember with nostalgia when we were young, when the war against indiscipline was being propagated, how the society, how the move was in there to really push the society to be positive in thinking. I remember that there was a small jingle then about one Andrew that went about being tired about no light, no electricity, and he was told that no, this country belongs to all of us. We have to remain and salvage it together. I know in Lagos, those days, it was all about rush, about brigandage. But up to now, if you go to Yaba, I remember people queue up right from the days of Y. It has become a culture. Everybody queues up to enter the bus. It has now become a culture. So that has been my concern. And when this issue came up, and in military, of course, we know the potency of propaganda. If you really want to achieve, you really have to mobilize the society for them to understand where you are heading to. So, sir, this is really a welcome development. We hope that we want to really see. I've been wondering, in most of our discourse, in our discussions, NOA always comes up. Where are we not being the National Orientation Agency? Where is the stand? Why are we not feeling them the way we want to feel them? Because the why keeps coming to my mind. It was very potent. People were being re-engineered because when the narrative, when you allow the negative narrative to try for too long, people start believing it. And that's why Twitter was so powerful. People keep sending negative messages, and the society reacts, particularly the youths. But once there is the national, particularly the media in collaboration with the agency, to see that the society is not allowed to degenerate, because it's a battle between good and bad. And truly, sir, your agency stands at the forefront. So, sir, on behalf of the Chief of Defense Staff, he has sent us here to come and listen, to help, and really, because we really need to partner. The burden is somehow on the military now, so much insecurity issues. Military is doing so much. Of course, if it's not being propagated to the society to know what is being done, people might not even appreciate. It's an all-out war. The nation is at war. It's a national drive for this war. It's not a military thing, but the military, the orientation agency is really a very potent organization. So, sir, we wish you well, and we pray.
Bemiga Olamikon, GTV Africa.